Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone! How are you all? I am super duper giddy and excited because for the first time since I've been on this little kitchen garden here, 4 years, this is my 5th year, for the first time I'm actually ready to plant my spuds on St. Patrick's Day. Yay! Now, I have no idea where the tradition comes from, but it's tradition to sow your spuds on St. Patrick's Day. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, it's a little bittersweet for me today because one of our very beloved plotters, a gentleman by the name of Paddy, an Irishman, always got his spuds in on St. Patrick's Day and always had the best harvest. And very sadly, last year we lost him. He passed away and, well, everyone, the whole site, everyone's just utterly saddened by it because he was such a great guy. And I'm really sorry he's not here this year to see me get mine in. So I'm going to go in today and it's going to be in honour of St. Patrick's Day and our very own Paddy. God love you, Paddy. Oh, I've got to tell you actually, the first time I met Paddy, it was so sweet. I just got my plot and that top bed that's nearest the main path that you see us walk down, that's the bed I started on. Now I knew it was heavy clay, so I set to with some double digging, adding compost as I went. It's completely engrossed in the job because it's quite a heavy job. Huffing, puffing, sighing, shoveling. And then I just became aware out of the corner of my eye of a gentleman standing on the end of my plot. And I sort of looked up and looked over and was greeted by the most beautiful pair of sparkling, twinkling blue eyes that I've ever seen. And it was our dear old Paddy. And he said something to me along the lines of, you don't see many people double digging these days. You'll be grand. Gave me a sort of half wink and then off he went. So yes, it's St. Patrick's Day, the spuds are going in. I'm so excited. Actually, the other reason I'm excited for getting them in on St. Patrick's Day, apart from Paddy, is the earlier I get them in, the earlier they come out. The earlier they come out, the sooner I've got some more ground to grow in later in the year. So it's going to be hopefully really beneficial to do it now. I've sown my potatoes as late as May and I've still got a fine harvest from them. They just come later. So if you haven't got your seed potatoes yet, if they haven't chitted, whatever, don't worry. This is super duper early. And I'm just going to show you my chits. So, a lot of people end up with long, straggly, white, spindly things, like the kind of things you get in the bottom of your fridge. Excuse me. That's because it's too dark and they're sort of struggling to find light. And those really spindly white ones, they're not really any good. They'll snap off in the ground. They could even rot in the ground because they're so weak. What you're after, I'll try and put my finger behind it so it'll pick it up. Can you see that? It's sort of quite short, stumpy chits. If you have got the long straggly ones, you could actually just knock them off and start chitting again, but somewhere much lighter than you have had them. Or knock them off and don't even bother chitting, just chuck them in the ground, because, you know, at the end of the day, if a farmer is going to be sowing, oh, I don't know, 2 million spuds, he's not going to be chitting them on his windowsills, is he? So don't worry about your chits, don't worry about timing. This is about the earliest you can do it. This is the earliest I've ever done it. And I'm so excited. Should we go and get on with it? Now let's see if I'm going to try and do chit cam with you guys now as we walk down the plot. It's actually turned into a really lovely day in London today. Actually, I'm going to just need to flick you all. Just bear with me one moment. It's a really lovely day, but because of that, some of my neighbours are out. There we go, chit cam. Some of my neighbours are out with their lawn mowers, so we may get a lot of lawn mowing noise in the background, but we'll try our best to ignore it. Now, if you remember last week, during my March tour, oh, look at me stumbling, I mentioned that I'd already dug my trenches. I haven't done that in the past, dug my trenches much before planting, but that's because I've planted later in the year. The reason I've done it this year, it's not written in any books, it's just my kind of rationale, the reason I've done it 2 weeks early is in the hopes that some of the sunshine we have been having, end of chit cam, now we're going to move to trench cam. Yeah, some of the sun that we've been having, can you make that out there, will have got down, sort of down into the bottom of the trench and just warmed that little bit of soil up a little tiny bit. I don't know if it would have made any difference, but there was no harm in doing it, and at least it means I'm ready to sow. So let me see if I can find you guys. These are my main crops. They're Cara. The reason I've chosen it is they store really well and they're really nice as bakers. I started, when I actually made my decision to stop working, I started to think, I do rely quite a little bit on rice and lentils and things like that for my sort of bulky, starchy, padding my meals out stuff. And I suddenly thought, oh gosh, I don't want to have to rely on rice that I'm going to have to buy or lentils that I'm going to have to buy. Sorry, I've got a frog in my throat. I'm post night shift, I'm a bit more. So I've kind of decided, I've dug 3 trenches, but I think I'm actually going to do a 4th one because the spuds will make a really good bit of starch for me in the winter. I'm thinking like a baked potato, chop it in half and fill it with like a sort of squashy, garlicky, tomatoey, ragu-y type thing. Sounds good to me. Oh, and now the wind's picking up. Now, the idea with trenching, or at least getting your spuds sunk down, is as they grow, you're going to chuck a bit more soil on the top. Because as they grow and you cover them with soil, that's where they'll produce the spuds. So when they grow a bit more, chuck a bit more soil on, more spuds. Grow a bit more, chuck more soil on. It's getting really windy. So that's the kind of the rationale behind trenching. So all the mounded up soil that's around me, that will basically gradually be dragged down into the trench to cover all the growth. And then, opla! And then there'll come a point once they start sort of setting flowers, getting into the summer, where you stop covering them anymore. You just leave them be. In that stage, I'll probably mulch with the grass clippings like I did last year, because I think it helps to retain the moisture. I know loads of people who don't water their potatoes in the summer, somehow thinking that because they're so deep down they don't need water. I always give mine a little bit. I think they need it. I tried it one year without watering them and had the worst harvest ever, so I'm not making that mistake again. Oh, worms. Anyway, I'm just going to get on with this. You can either watch or go and have a cup of tea. Someone's going to sue me for saying cup of tea, aren't they? Someone's going to be claiming that as their right. Do you know, I don't even mind the sound of the mower in the background. It kind of reminds me that the whole site is coming back into activity and life again, which is lovely. These trenches were deeper, but the rain has washed a load of the soil back in. I was thinking actually, I don't know if any of you saw last year, I broke both my wrists. What a stupid thing to do. And when it came to spud time, there was absolutely no way I could dig. I just couldn't dig. I could barely even dig with the trowel. With my right wrist was sort of on the mend, but wasn't right. So I used the bulb planter, where you kind of scrudge it in and take out a core of soil. I don't think it worked that well in the end, because I think the problem was, as it went into the soil, that's the planter and I'm the soil, as it went in, what it did around that kind of hole was it really sort of compacted and solidified the sides. And I just have a feeling that that's part of why some of them ended up coming out of the ground at the top, because it was so compact they couldn't kind of breathe sideways, as it were. I think it would be okay if you had some really good loamy soil, but I just think on clay it wasn't worth it. Anyway, I'm going to get on with the rest of another row of the main, 2 rows of news, and I'll see you in a little bit. So the spuds are all in. I can't wait to eat them. I can't wait for harvest. Patience, Vivi. So I'm just going to wish you all a fantastically happy St Patrick's Day. Enjoy the celebrations, whatever you're getting up to, whether it's a bit of a drop of the old black stuff from the Liffey. Whatever you're doing, have fun out in your gardens, getting your spuds in and doing whatever else it is you're going to do at this time of year. And I'm going to leave with one last little thing. Remember I was telling you about the gentleman Paddy, our Irish plotter, who always got his spuds in today. When he died, because he was so loved by everyone, we all got together to buy this, a little bench in his memory. And I'm going to leave you, I'm going to say goodbye for now, but I'm just going to leave you with these words that were picked out to put on his bench.